Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever the time is you're viewing this. This is going to be part of Module 4 for our final, trying to get ready for this final. So what I'm going to do is split this up into sections to kind of make it easy. Hopefully you've gone over and reviewed the other modules because everything's connected, in particular the theory part of this. And I know this is kind of crazy for those folks who kind of need hands-on with the professor there live, and I understand that. So what I've done and I'm trying to do is to make this as simple as I can to get us through this and to give you an understanding of how technology also enables us to create sheet music for the live musician to perform. As you know, we are working with a lead sheet, and the one that we're working with is Some Enchanted Evening. Now, just as a review, I've given you some things to do that have to do with putting in the data that you see here. So hopefully by now, as I have, we've put in our melody, we've put in our lyrics, I showed you how to do that, and the chord symbols up here. Now, I want you to look very carefully at the chord symbols because what I've done is I've taken out a lot of the complex ones just to give the simple ones that we want to work with for this particular lesson. So today I'm going to deal with triad and chords, the chord of the seventh and the triad. If you at any time need a reference here, remember you can always go to the online up at the top in the help section and it'll take you online. Also, if you need to have a piano available to see, if you press the letter P, shortcut P, at the bottom is a keyboard. And on there, you can play each one of these with your mouse and you can get the pitches. Well, at some point, if you have to go back here for our lesson today, please use this because this is going to help me to explain to you what I'm trying to get you to do for part B of this module for our next time that I'm on here. Okay, so what I want to deal with today is here. A triad and what a triad is and how to create a triad. Triads create our harmony, and what you see over top of each one of these measures is a letter, which is our harmony. And basically, to create the harmony, if you look, the harmony is nothing more, a triad is nothing more than the distance of interval between two notes which create major and minor intervals. And these are stacked thirds. That means that one is on top of the other, as you see here. Now I'm using a C triad as an example, and these happen in every key, and they have the same principle. They are stacked thirds. So if we look at the notes, remember I told you that if you look at the notes on the piano, that each key on the piano is a half step away from the other. So if we count each one of the half steps, white key, black key, white key, black key, etc., we'll get what I'm talking about here. So I'm going to start on my root to create this C triad. C is my root. And if I count half steps, that means the next black key, which is one half, then there's a white key, which is another half, then there's a black key. In this case, we're going to call this D sharp as another half. I get to another white key, which gives me 4 half steps or major third. So any two pitches that are 4 steps apart, 4 half steps apart, let me correct that. Any two pitches that are 4 half steps apart, which is also 2 steps, gives me an interval of a major third. So from C to E, I have a major third. The interval of a minor third is also created the same way. And what I want to do is I'll get back to that third note in a second because somebody said, oh, you left out the third note. We'll get the third note in a minute. Okay, so I want the interval of a minor third. So I use the same 2 pitches or 3 pitches. In this case, I'm going to use C and E. And if I start on C, I need to go now 3 half steps, or a step and a half from C. So here's that C sharp, 1 half. D is another half. And I'm going to keep E flat here as the other half because I want to keep the sequence of the alphabet, C, D, E. Remember, the alphabet is always sequential. C, D, E. So I can take any note, I can make it sharp, double sharp, flat, double flat, natural. So here I have interval of a minor third from C to E. Now, in the earlier lesson, I told you about the fifth and how these triads work. So if I have a major third from C to E with a minor third, which is E to G, sitting on top, I have a major triad. If I have a minor third, and I didn't put the E flat here, but I could, which would be here, which is now a minor third, and if I go from E flat to G, a major third, then I have a minor triad. Keep the right enharmonic to keep the distance of 3. So in this case here, E flat and D sharp, if you look at your keyboard, that is that second black key of the 2 black keys. I want to make sure that as I go up and I'm doing these triads, that I'm calling that 3. So C to E would be 3, C to E flat would be 3, C to D would be 2, C to D sharp would be 2. So we want to make sure we keep the right enharmonic. Think of the musical alphabet as you go along. Okay, so I did that down here. Now, for my chord, because that's what we will be dealing with. A chord is an extension of a triad to create harmony. And we're only going to explore the major 7, the dominant 7, and the minor 7 to complete this project. A chord of the 7th will have a root, 3rd, 5th, and a 7th. These are all thirds. C, E, G, B. If you look at sets here and you do every odd numbers, 1, 3, 5, 7. So here's my C major chord now. I have a root. I have my major 3rd. Remember, I didn't bother that 5th. And I have this thing called a major 7. Now, what the major 7th is, if you think about the root of C, or any note, if you go down 1/2 step, an interval of 1/2 step from the name of that root, you will get that major 7. And there's that major 7. So if I see these notes stacked up, C, E, G, B, in this case, I would call this chord a C major 7. The chord of the dominant 7 uses a major triad, which we still keep C, E, G, with the added pitch that lies 1 whole step below the root of that chord. If the chord is C, the dominant 7 would be B flat. So in other words, I have that C. If you go back, and I'll show you on the keyboard in a second, C. And if I go back 1/2 step, I get a white key, that's B. And I need to lower that B to get B flat. That would be my dominant 7. So nothing has changed other than the 7th note of that chord. So now I have, if you look down here, C, E, G, and my dominant 7 will be B flat. Finally, what I have down here is the chord of the minor 7. The minor 7 has 2 rules with it now. We're going to take that triad, and this time in that triad, we're going to lower the 3rd, C to E flat, and we're going to keep that dominant 7, which would be our B flat. So C, E flat, G, B flat would be my dominant 7. Now, this is kind of quick to do, and I know I may not have enough time doing this to kind of go through it thoroughly, so I suggest that you use musictheory.net or any kind of music theory website that you want to go to bring some further understanding, or if I can, I'll come back and reinforce that some kind of way. Getting back to my sheet over here. So as we look, here's my piano. And each one of these, here's that piano keyboard. Each one of these notes is a 1/2 step. So between the octave, which is from one note to its mate note, there are 12 semitones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then it starts over again. So major third. Major third, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 1/2 steps, which is 2 steps. Any 2 pitches 2 steps apart or 4 1/2 steps apart is a major third. Minor third, 1, 2, 3. Any 2 pitches 3 half steps apart, or a step and a half, is a minor third. Now, again, that triad, C, E, G, which is my major triad, and I want the major 7th. To get that major 7th, here's my C. What I'm going to do is go back 1 half step and stack that on top of my note, C, E, G, and I have my major 7th, C major 7th. C dominant 7th. The same triad, C, E, G. Now I'm going to go back a step from my root. Here's my root here. I'm stacking in thirds again. C, half step back is B. B flat will give me C7, dominant 7. C minor 7. 2 rules. I'm going to use a lower third. 1, 2, 3, which is 3. Minor third is 3 half steps above the root, or any 2 notes that are 3 half steps apart. It's a minor third. So C to E flat. I'm not going to bother this 5th. So C, E flat, G, and I'm going to use that dominant 7. And I have the 3 types of 7 chords that we will be using for our particular piece of music. Now, to bring this keyboard up, I press the letter P, and I'll go away, or you can bring it back. I've also, if you look at this chart and you want to look at this, reduce the chords again so to make it easy. So if you look at this, C, C for measures 1 and 2, G7, G7, dominant chords for measures, the next 2 measures, 5 and 6 are C. This is an F minor chord, using the same principle as we did with the C chord to form it. That's your assignment to do to see if you can understand it. D minor 7, E7. Be careful of that one because there's a tricky note in there. A minor, which is just a triad. F minor 7, as you see that some of these you're going to do several times again. So if you remember what you did here, then when you get down here, it's going to be the same notes. G7, we've had that up here. When we have 2 chords in a measure, as we have down here, C, A minor 7, that means that we're going to give each one of those a half note value. C, E, G, and then we're going to start on A and make that an A minor 7. A, I'm not going to give you the answer. I want you to think about it. Down here, D minor 7, and there's that G7. We've had that before, and I'll C. So what I want you to do before I go on to module 4B, which will be the end of this, to get this all done, is to sit down and see if you can first write out the chords. Just take a piece of paper, like I've done here, and write down the chords as you think they would be, because then you'll see how they will fit. Now, as I finish this, you can see I can click on the note, and I can go up here and press my playback, and here's my melody. My first ending, and I've got this little thing right here, which is called a repeat sign, and it goes back. And what we will do as we get down to each one of these is just play the melody with no harmony, so we're going to create the harmony in our next lesson. Okay, so as I leave you, have fun, work hard, work smart, don't get too frustrated, because sometimes it can be devastating. Here we go to the second ending. Thank you for being such a beautiful class. Make sure that you do sign in, and I'll take attendance and send you attendance, and I'll see you the next time with part B, and we'll be done. Ciao. See ya.